In this video, I will go over how to paint various colors in full value structure while maintaining the chroma and considering the color wheel to create my shades. Here is one of my color wheels. The color wheel is going to be an essential tool for considering how to mix shades. To create a shade, you are going to combine complementary colors. That means, for example, if I'm going to make a shadow for a green object, I'm going to combine green and red. Green and red are directly opposite on the color wheel. I'm beginning with my red and green color study here, and I'm starting with my red background and the shadows of my red, which I'm creating by combining red and green together. As I go into the light, I'm becoming more chromatic. And then on my leaf, I'm also starting with those shadows, so my darker neutral greens, again made with green and red together. I'm just leaning it more into the green side. On my green, as I get more into the light, I'm also adding more yellow into my green to make it appear brighter. For my orange and blue study, I'm working with a combination of my blue with orange added into it to create my shadows. And the same combination for my orange. I'm just pushing and pulling these colors into different color families. In the light on this orange, I'm making sure to maintain my chroma. I'm right now just adding pure orange with also some yellow to lighten it. I will add some white later, but you want to be really careful adding white into warm objects. Now I transition to my yellow object as I wait for my orange to dry, and I'm combining yellow and purple here. To also get my purple shadows even darker, I'm adding in a bit of blue and brown as well, because solely adding yellow can lighten my purple a little bit too much. So that is something to keep in mind with that combination. My orange is now dry, so now I can go back in and add a couple of bright, whiter highlights.
All right, everyone, I want to go over some of the ways I was mixing for these various paintings. So I'm going to show you for this red and green right now, I'm going to do a little value scale. The way I'm about to mix is the same way I was mixing as I was painting this. So first I like to start by, I'm going to start with a red value scale. I like to start by taking that red over, and I'm going to begin by making my darkest shadow for my red. And I'm going to be combining red and green to get this shadow. So I'm combining green into this. That essentially starts to make this brown, but I want to make sure it still feels like it's part of the red family. I'm going to make a pile of this darker red shadow, and to make my value scale, I'm going to start progressively adding more and more red into it. The more pure chroma, the lighter something is going to appear. So for our red right here, that's a very, very dark neutral, okay? Now I'm going to take this again, I'm just going to add, to go a step up, I'm going to add more red into this. Okay. Now something to also keep in mind about gouache, I'll probably mention this multiple times, is that when your gouache is wet, it is going to appear darker, and then it is going to dry a little bit lighter. So you're probably going to see that as you're working. Just kind of keep that in mind. Sometimes you place a shadow, it seems dark enough, and then you realize after it dries, oh, that actually needs to go lighter. So I'm just taking this, that I'm having that same shadow pile, I'm just adding more and more red into this, and that chromatic red is making this appear lighter and lighter. Okay, I'm gonna do maybe one more big amount of red in there. And now I'm going to transition to putting down just some of this pure chroma. And I'm going to do one even lighter note where I take some of this red and I'm going to add a bit of orange into it. If you add orange or yellow into a red that is going to lighten it and maintain the warmth. Okay. So that is essentially what I've been doing for each of my paintings. I'm starting with my local color. So in this case with the background, that's red. I'm adding the complement of red, which is green, to get my neutrals. And to make it lighter, I'm getting more and more chromatic. So now we can even take this red pile, I'm going to shift it green. So I'm going to make a green value scale. So I'm going to take a bunch of this green. You can tell I was doing this with the green earlier. I'm going to take a bunch of this green, add it into here. Now I'm doing the same combination, but I want to lean it into the green side of a color family. Okay, so I'm going to put this down. You can see those are kind of similar, right? They're neutrals. They have low chroma. Now I'm going to start adding more and more of my blue-green to start. Let me get a little bit more here. And for this green value scale, I'm both going to use blue-green. And as I get lighter and lighter, I'm going to use some of a yellow-green. So that yellow-green contains obviously yellow. And yellow is going to lighten other colors because it is an inherently light value. Okay, I'm going to do one more pass into this shadow mask with that. Then I'm also now going to put down a note of this pure green right here. A bit more pigment in there. And now I'm also going to try to find a relatively clean spot on my palette. I'm going to take some of this blue-green and I'm going to start to mix some yellow-green into here. And that yellow-green is going to help this appear lighter. Let's do even more yellow-green. Okay, and I'll maybe do one note of the yellow-green itself. So now we have a value scale going in green. Again, each of these combinations, I'm combining these complementary colors to make my shades, my shadows. And as I get into the light, I'm becoming more and more chromatic. So I'm using more of that pure color to make it appear lighter.
For my last complementary color scheme, I'm working with yellow and purple. Keep in mind with your yellow shadows that if they're starting to go a little bit green, that is telling you your purple had too much blue in it, and you just need to add a little bit more red to neutralize that green feeling. Make sure that your yellow object is maintaining a sense of value structure and that your shadow family in particular is clear. Your yellow shadow is definitely going to look like a brown, but it's a brown you want to lean into the yellow family and it will make sense in the context of the painting.